Welcome to the Overthinking Podcast, where pop culture meets science and we cut through the noise so you don't have to. We're your hosts, Bree
and Kelsie.
And after years of navigating a male-dominated, money-driven fitness industry, we're done watching women get fed half-truths and straight-up lies about health. We made the mistakes, bought into the fads, tried the gimmicks, so you don't have to.
Now we're bringing you the real talk. No filters, no fluff, just evidence-based insights with a side of pop culture, humor, and the occasional existential crisis. Whether it's the latest wellness trend or the everyday struggles of being a woman in this space, we're here to unpack it all, so you can level up your health with facts, not fads. So, grab your matcha.
Or your martini.
And let's overthink it together.
Let's start with our favorite little game called This or That.
I like the intro. My this or that for you today is edibles or pre-rolls.
I have zero patience, so I will forever and always go with the pre-roll.
That's fair. I do feel like pre-rolls tend to make my lungs feel really hurty, but yeah, I think I agree with you. Pre-rolls is so convenient. I love that I can just sit there. I don't have to wait. But if you're prepared, edible for sure, all day.
I love a preemptive edible. Like, I'm not quite where I'm going to be to enjoy this high.
Yes.
But I'm close.
Like a movie. A movie is the perfect setting because you're like, okay, 20-minute drive to get to the movie theater, pop this edible. By the time the trailers are done, you're grooving.
That's epic. That's really it. Sometimes I'll race an edible and I will pop an edible and then do about like 15 minutes of work.
Yeah.
And the moment I start feeling it, I'm like, all right, cool. Okay. Done for the day.
I have a story for that, but I feel like that's a whole entire episode, so that'll be for another time.
Perfect. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that.
So one of the reasons why we started this podcast, because Kelsie and I our lives have completely changed through fitness, and there's something really monumental about sharing our stories so that you can learn from us and not make the same mistakes we did. In this particular episode, we're going to explore how Kelsie used lifting to change her life. So, Kelsie, can you share with us a standout moment or memory of your early lifting days?
Yeah, I think something that I think a lot of people can relate to, and it is very vivid in my memory because I think it's so common, is when I first started lifting. It was my freshman year of college, and I didn't really even touch any weights. I would just go to the rec center because I didn't know what I was doing on campus. And I would just do a couple laps around the track, and then I would hide in the corner and do abs. And I think it's so funny because I think a lot of women share with me that they have a similar tendency, which is you sign up for a gym membership and then you only get on the treadmill because you're too worried about what other people will think. You're too worried about you might be doing something wrong and
maybe hurt yourself. Yeah.
And so they just keep it safe to the treadmill or the stair climber. And I think I share that with a lot of people. So that's one of my earliest memories of like beginning my fitness journey.
And that is tough too, because you can see other people in the gym, right? You can see other people doing stuff and you see them like they're focused. They know what they're supposed to be doing. They know where things are, how to use things. And that makes it even more intimidating for a new gym goer. And I think that's probably one of the first moments where someone's like, oh, yep, lifting isn't for me.
Right.
Or at least this style of lifting is just too.
Yeah, it's the make or break between, using the membership or not.
Yeah. And so when was that for you?
That was my freshman year of college. And it was funny, at the time I had a roommate who I lived in the dorm with, and she was like doing the bikini competition. So she was training like rigorously, would wake up at 4 a.m., report to the rec center, and then she'd be back there at 8 p.m. Like it was definitely like on the more toxic end, but I saw that and I was like, oh, well, she's doing this, so I can go to the rec center. And I don't think I ever had her like show me the weights, but just going around the track and doing abs in the corner ultimately led me to exploring a little bit more, which I started looking up YouTubes of like body weight exercises and just doing those at home until I got more comfortable to like make that breakthrough into the weight room. So it probably wasn't until my sophomore year of college that I dove into some of the weights, but I really just started like doing things at home and then reading articles on T Nation, if you know, That's his own toxic element.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, I really had, unlike you, I had no experience with strength training. I pretty much quit all sports when I got to high school because I was playing volleyball and all the other girls popped up and were 6 foot and I was like a measly 5'6" at the time. So I stopped all activity. I did run track for a little bit, but only casually. But it really wasn't until I got to college that it became a bigger part of my life.
You know what's interesting is I think your story of walking into the gym, doing the couple things you know how to do, but also knowing you wanted to learn the other movements, and then to be brave and courageous enough to go on YouTube and find movements that looked like something that you could do.
Yeah.
And then to do them on your own.
Yeah.
Right? I would feel like I might even be a little bit too embarrassed, at that time in my life. I might have been too embarrassed to even try.
Yeah.
And I think that's really special. And can you share a little bit more about how your relationship to your body may have also, evolved over this time?
Yeah. I mean, I think my view of my body was always pretty decently healthy. I mean, I was very skinny. Like I'm at 5'6". I didn't even weigh 100 pounds until sophomore or junior year of college. Like I was tiny.
I remember in 3rd grade someone asking me how much I weighed, and I started crying because I weighed 100 pounds.
Oh my God. At 5'9"?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, so it was like the other end of the spectrum.
No. I was in 3rd grade.
Oh.
I wasn't 5'9" quite yet. Okay. But I was like, the 100-pound mark just seemed like such a big deal.
I don't know how age works.
Right. But then on the other end, you were like, I wasn't even 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important story to share.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was always really small. So I came from a point of like, I'm sick of people mocking me for being so skinny that I need to figure out a way to change my life, to change my body, to change who I am so that I can show up differently. So the biggest challenge with my self-image and my health was getting to college, didn't know how to feed myself. I lived off 1 carton of Easy Mac every day and a Mr. Pibb, and that was my literal day of eating. So I was also challenged not only by the judgment of being too skinny, but also not feeling good because I literally only ate Kraft mac and cheese and a Mr. Pibb. Mm-hmm. There was no vegetables in my life unless they came from Chick-fil-A, which was one of the restaurants on campus, but who's getting vegetables at Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
No one. So I feel like I'm coming from a different place.
Yeah, a little bit. It's almost like you're touching on the underserved part that we really want to give back to women, which is we have not been taught the knowledge of how to feel our bodies, especially at a young age. So when I think about your experience of like, all I was eating was mac and cheese and drinking a Dr. Pibb, it's like, well, that was what was marketed to us.
Yeah.
And I think that, like you touched on too, the food that we put in our body, the way that we move our body does trigger or not these happy hormones. Mm-hmm. The majority of our happy hormones get produced in the gut. And
yeah. And also further iterates the point of, skinny is not always better. Because I was the walking embodiment of what people allegedly wanted, but yet I still had the mockery. People were calling me anorexic bulimic, even though I, wasn't, but maybe somehow was further enforcing that by only eating Easy Mac and Mr. Pibb. I wasn't doing those things on purpose. I just genuinely didn't have the knowledge and the tools and the people around me. I grew up in the Midwest. We ate plain meat, unseasoned meat, mm-hmm. and dipped everything in ketchup. That was what life was like. So I didn't have the knowledge of what a healthy diet is like.
I'm really excited about this question because this is, again, part of the reason why we started this podcast, but I need to know when the turning point was for you.
Yeah. So the turning point, I talked a lot about my college experience. So I started working at a gym, which got me further into strength training, but again, just kind of dabbled with inconsistent workout routines. And it wasn't until probably my early 20s where I was dating someone somewhat briefly, a couple months, and that relationship ended. And it was one of those moments where, you know, you've done a lot of growth on yourself, and that relationship ended and it felt really tragic. And I was like really depressed, really sad. And fortunately, I had some good guy friends that saw me going to work as a personal trainer every day, but not really like training myself. I wasn't taking care of myself once again. And he was a friend, and he saw this, and he was like, hey, you're being a piece of shit. I need you to come with me to my powerlifting team's lifting sessions every Tuesday, Thursday, and just come on. And I was like, no, powerlifting is not for me. I like first refused, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to program for myself.
Something's better than nothing.
Something's better than nothing. It was at 7 p.m., which if you know me, baby grandma over here, like I've got a bedtime of 8:30.
Even in college?
Yeah.
And after
I'm a sleepy girl. Okay. I mean, I had my fair share of dollar nights at the Hawk on a Wednesday.
Sure.
But all in all, I was always a sleepy girl. So he was like, you know what? You're being a piece of shit. Come to the powerlifting. Went to the powerlifting training session, 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. I got done with work at 6 p.m., made it straight there. And I walked around, and just like you, it was all dudes. There was one subset of the gym that was like 6 girls. And I remember looking over at them feeling so intimidated. So it's not only like just the men that I feel like are intimidating. It's just everybody who is above you. And it's that initial like intimidation of like, shit, these people are going to judge me. I'm the little frail weakling. I don't know what I'm doing. But, you know, once he kind of like shoved me into the fire was when I really was like, oh, this is not that scary. It's not that intimidating. And the girls and the guys equally ended up being so supportive. And by the end of that training session, he was like, oh, by the way, I signed you up for a powerlifting meet. And I was like, no, you didn't. I'm not doing it. I've never bench pressed a day in my life. So if you don't know, a powerlifting competition is squats, bench, and deadlift. And he was like, you have 8 weeks to prepare. And I was like, okay, I'll do it, but I'm not doing the bench press. He's like, you're doing it. And I was like, fine. So 8 weeks go by, and I had the best time. And the training for that meet really like showed me that I can do hard things. I can do more difficult things than I once thought I was capable of. And also, people are rooting for you no matter what you're doing. Like if you're deadlifting 135 pounds or you're deadlifting 235 pounds, people just want to see you try. People just want to see you put effort into something, and they don't care how strong or not strong you are. They just want to see you show up. And the community in powerlifting is so cool for that.
And when did you start feeling that true connection and that place? Like, when did you start feeling like you really belonged there?
I mean, by like the second week of training with the group, I think it was just that initial intimidation of like, wow, these girls are so strong. I'm not on their level. And even the guys, like everybody is stoked to unload plates for you, to work in their sets with you. So, I mean, I think going back to the episode last week when we talked about CrossFit having a good community, powerlifting is very similar. I don't think it's been given as much like publicity, but I think it comes down to any community or support system that aids in the journey of habit change is what is like the make or break to consistency.
Yeah. I actually think that the biggest topic here to pull out is the intimidation factor. I think that intimidation is one of the main reasons that women get stuck in some of these vicious cycles, because trying something new or pushing themselves beyond where they could, you know, intimidation is a neurobiological, hardwired survival technique that is deeply, deeply seated within us to show us, like, this is a safe place, this is not a safe place, or this is a person that you are, like, there's social hierarchies, this, you are better than this person or not. And so we're already trained at, just as like sacks of cells, to have this experience of like, do I belong here? Am I safe here?
Yeah.
Is this something that I want to spend my time doing? And the reality is that if you can bypass some of that intimidation fear and just right size it, it's a fear response. It's something new. It's something you're not adapted to. It's something you're not used to. If you are someone who's listening to this and you found yourself in that intimidation place, take
persistent.
a long exhale. Try to rid your body of that fear. and right size it. What did you just say?
And just be persistent.
Be persistent.
Kind of have the like fuck it attitude. Like if you need to just put on a hat, put in some earphones, like wear a mask to disguise yourself. Like fortunately, pandemic has made masks normalized for the most part. Like disguise yourself for as long as it takes to feel comfortable and just continue to show up. Be persistent, and eventually that confidence will unfold.
The people who matter will stick around and support you, and the ones who don't won't. And I think that even walking into a gym, like a traditional commercial gym, it doesn't have that same community feel like your powerlifting experience did. But if someone came up to me at the gym, and this has happened before, right? People come up to me in the gym, they're like, what are you doing? I want to know what you're doing. It opens the door for me to share some education and experience. Yeah. That does not get me upset.
Yeah. If shared experiences make us feel closer.
Absolutely. And anyone who looks like they know what they're doing in the gym would probably be so excited to show you what they're doing.
We've all been a beginner at one point in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Kelsie. Is there anything else specifically about this, turning point or moving into a little bit more lifting that you wanted to share about?
I think it's just important to talk about how the lifting, and especially powerlifting, really reaffirmed the confidence that I feel in myself. And I like to think of this often, which is, I did a couple powerlifting meets. I went to nationals, and, tangentially, I had an experience in Jamaica where I jumped off a cliff, or everybody I was with was jumping off a cliff. And it was 30 feet high, which is scary as shit. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I can do scary things. I can do hard things. I've competed in powerlifting. Standing up in front of people is scary. Deadlifting 330 pounds is scary. If I can do that, I can do jumping off a cliff. If I can do that, I can apply for a new job or whatever the thing is. I can end a relationship that doesn't feel good anymore. I can do all these things. So I think lifting for me has been more impactful. And that's why it feels so much easier to stay consistent and adherent to a plan. Is it's not just about looking a certain way. It's not just about feeling, of course I want to feel good in my body, but I stay consistent because it's all repetition.
And earlier we talked about how we're more inclined to do the hard thing in the morning, eat the frog.
Yep.
Okay. And so if you're someone who's feeling a little bit new or shy or bashful or scared to go into the gym, I highly suggest going in the morning. The people that train there in the morning are also probably the more trained people, but also it's just going to set you up for success with the rest of your day. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing that you do is something for you, especially if you're in an industry where you're always giving, like most of us are, your confidence in how you move throughout the rest of your day is going to be so different. And one thing that I just wanted to kind of bring back is you had this persistence, right? You had this persistence of trying things on your own and continuing to show up even when you were scared. Is there a specific mantra or a specific lesson that you had from lifting that stuck with you?
Yeah, definitely. And I say this a lot to all of my coaching clients is let it be hard. Quote, let it be hard. And I think this resonates with a lot of people in more ways than just the gym, but I think women tend to hold themselves back when it comes to lifting and not really knowing their true strength. How many girls do you know that stick to the 10, 15 pounds when they could really do 50, 60, 65, 100? So when I constantly tell people, let it be hard, it gives them almost permission to struggle. And I think people are so scared to struggle. And for me, that really helped me get through the powerlifting competitions, get through moments where showing up at the gym felt hard. Is yes, things can feel hard, but you can do it anyway.
I love that.
Yeah. We're so resilient. And I think women and, all people forget how resilient we are, but,
Yeah. I think it's allowing, by saying let it be hard, it's allowing yourself to exist in an uncomfy situation, and we are in fight or flight the majority of the day. And so by doing the hard thing first and showing yourself that you can do it,
Yep.
you set yourself up for the rest of the day.
Yeah. If the let it be hard is waking up at 4 a.m. so you can get to the gym at 5, then sometimes you just got to let it be hard and, don't expect too much from the outcome. Just show up first and you'll probably be surprised.
Yeah. Kelsie, thank you so much for sharing your experience with lifting and your story of how you've arrived at such a really impactful place for so many women as a coach. And is there anything else that you wanted to share?
That is honestly all I have. I feel like I touched on all the key points of my journey. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope this resonates with anyone out there who feels in a similar situation and enjoys our growth. We would love feedback on the episodes. Please like and follow the podcast. And if you want to connect with Bree or myself, at Brianna Lamb and at Kelsie Michelle on Instagram. And soon we'll have the Overt Thinking podcast. And we will talk to you guys in the next episode.